All right, man, here we go. Thunder Spurs. The first of who knows how many series between these two teams over the next 10 something years. They already don't like each other. We know the regular season story. Spurs 4-1. The last game, I believe, didn't matter. The one time OKC won, they finally shut down the Spurs offense. This is going to be so good, man. Let us start with the Thunder trying to score on Wemby. And the Spurs defense, we'll talk Castle, but just to start with Wemby, so much of this just starts with who is Wemby guarding, right? And the cross-matching in this series on both ends is going to be so much, and it's going to be such a big deal, but it's also going to be so prevalent that I also don't want to get too caught up in trying to predict exact things. I'll just say this. If Wemby is on iHeart, then the Thunder need to hammer home as many iHeart screens at the top of the key and DHOs and flare screens and maybe multiple screens, anything you can do to get Wemby moving a bit before he's got to try to cover ground as it's SGA or J-Dub, who says he's healthy and ready to go, or Chet driving or whatever. Or AJ Mitchell as well. Should be said, AJ did not play in two of the regular season matchups, and when he did play, he was not as featured in the offense as he has been in these playoffs. Although some of that is because J-Dub has not played most of the time, of course. Now, we just saw the Wolves try to solve this with Wemby. If he's on Jaden, can we try Jaden in some off-ball actions? Is there any type of screen we can run with Gobert, with Ant or whoever, to get Wemby just moving a bit? And the answer was, for the most part, no. iHeart is a better DHO guy than Gobert. He's also better at just like hitting somebody with a bounce pass as they're backdoor cutting. And so if Wemby is a little higher up on iHeart, there's more potential for that type of stuff. So let's say it's like a fake DHO with SGA or J-Dub to get downhill. Then Wemby's, again, got to cover ground. We're just trying to make Wemby cover ground. He's always going to be down there to some degree. Now, with all that said, it might just come down to a traditional center is too difficult to have long minutes because it's just a little too easy for Wemby to exist around the rim, right? That could mean more Jay Will, who can shoot, but also I don't know if the Spurs are going to be scared of him like that. And of course, it could mean take out iHeart for a perimeter player, but that doesn't mean the Spurs will put Wemby on Chet. And then it becomes, okay, you bring Caruso in. Well, my lasting image of this series was one of those games where Caruso was 2 for 13 from 3, and it was just so many plays of SGA drive inside. Caruso's wide open because Wemby's waiting for SGA at the paint. Caruso misses a 3. That's a win for the Spurs if Caruso takes that many threes, unless he goes nuts from outside. You can try a similar thing with Wemby helping off of Dort. We know the Spurs are very wired to do any off-ball switching they need to where Wemby is constantly just helping off of the guy he wants to help off of. If they put his guy in a screen, will somebody else go run up and do it, like Castle, Champagny, Vassell, whoever? And even if it would become like Caruso screening for SGA, it's like, well, he's still right there, man, you know? Which is why I think Chet is kind of the potential ultimate counter to so many things here. And he's been scoring throughout these playoffs so far, no doubt about it. Because, well, first off, in the regular season matchups, Chet didn't score that much, but in the one game where OKC won, iHeart was not playing. Wemby was matched up on Chet a little bit more, and J-Dub had a lot of baskets at the rim while Wemby was in the game because Wemby had to cover just a little more ground than normal because Chet was either on the wing or relocating. The couple times that SGA has scored in the paint when Wemby's been in the game in this matchup, I mean, SGA has still scored a lot, but it's been a little more on Cornet or more mid-rangers or jumpers when Wemby is out there. But there have been a couple of times when he scored in the paint, and that's also been like Wemby's got to help off of Chet from the corner, and he still makes it interesting at the rim, but it's a little more ground for him to cover. And so with Chet, the obvious is making threes. It's also, can you counter whatever switch the Spurs might give you? Because throughout this series, I mean, yeah, Castle's going to start possessions on SGA, but I mean, Castle at times is going to end up on Chet or Champagny or Vassell or Fox or whatever. And you need to make the Spurs have a moment of like, we don't really want to switch this guy onto Chet because then it could immediately go into like a Chet back down, a Chet drive. Also just pick and pops when Chet has Wemby on him for how often he has it on him. I mean, you got to make the shots, but you also just need to be so aware of where this guy is all the time. Like, we haven't even gone to Stephon Castle and Harper and all of this yet, but like we've seen sometimes the Thunder's half-court offense can sputter out just a little bit. Maybe they're missing some threes versus the Nuggets zone. The Pacers did a fantastic job of turning SGA into a bit more of a tunnel vision type of guy. This is the ultimate test. It's Wemby lurking somewhere. I feel like there's going to be a lot of DHOs and screens with Wemby's guy for SGA, AJ, J-Dub. You can do it with Chet too. You got to get this guy moving somehow. Now let's get to Stephon Castle. Can Castle do to SGA what Nembhard did to him? Which, hey, listen, SGA still put up big numbers in those finals, but Nembhard made him really work for it, and there were multiple games in that series where either SGA had like neutral assist to turnover or even more turnovers than assists. I mean, he averaged 30, but it was a 56 true shooting, so that's the most you can hope for, right? Look, I think on both sides, it's going to feel like a grind offensively at times. Like, there's going to probably be a game or two where the Thunder turn the Spurs over like hell, and there's going to be a game or two where the Thunder have multiple possessions of just, we got to pass it out because Wemby's right here. We don't really know how to get him out of the way. And in a typical series, you could just be like, well, if SGA can get the Fox switch, that's going to be easier than Castle. Of course it will be. Or Vassell, the same thing, but Wemby just changes everything. I mean, you can get the matchup you want, but he's still waiting for you somewhere. The ref talk around SGA and Castle is going to be beautiful. That was a flop, that was a foul, whatever. Could see Harper as well as Carter Bryant on SGA at times too. I mean, OKC is just going to dare Carter Bryant to do anything on offense. But Harper gets after it just as much as Castle does with his on-ball pressure. And then as far as J-Dub, I mean, I mentioned the stuff earlier about like if Wemby has to really cover ground, then that opens up J-Dub to get inside some as he recovers from his hamstring stuff. Again, he says he's healthy. To think back to the finals, the most success that J-Dub had was basically just going at Nesmith in a straight line. And besides Castle on SGA, again, the cross-matching is going to be so crazy that I'm not going to try to be like, this guy's going to guard J-Dub, but like it's going to be some of Vassell, it's going to be some Champagny. Any opportunity he gets on Fox, you got to go right at him and be physical as hell. Now, Harper has a better chance to hold up on that. Obviously, Castle does, but again, I think he's going to be on SGA more. But there's going to be switching. Castle's going to be on J-Dub sometimes. And if we see J-Dub trying to run at Keldon anytime, that's just going to be fun because they're just going to crash into each other, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. And now, like I said, AJ Mitchell was not featured as much in the regular season matchups or just didn't play in a couple of them. With how good he has been in these playoffs, you have to include just random possessions of like AJ taking Castle off the dribble if it's a switch, taking Harper, Fox, Champagny, Vassell, Keldon, whoever, and between SGA and Mitchell, just like two really crafty guards. I know I'm doing all the can you try to find a way to make Wemby cover more ground on defense, but if there's anybody who can maybe score with Wemby in the vicinity of the basket more than your average perimeter guys, it might just be these two. I mean, on some level, eventually you do just have to make some where he just is right there waiting for you. But also, of course, I mean, Kaysen, Caruso, Dort, like all these guys making enough catch and shoot threes, like that's all going to be a very big deal. J-Dub and Chet as well. Also can't forget Jared McCain. Like the potential of McCain to come in and just make 3 threes in a row, perhaps in a stretch where OKC is just going through a scoring drought, like that's a big deal, man. Now, as far as when Cornette is in the game, which this is another thing, I mean, Wemby's minutes, like this is the series where we really got to see. I mean, against the Wolves, he had a 40-minute game. I want to say he hit 37 in another one. Let's see, but when Cornette is out there, I mean, whenever Cornette's out there, the game just looks a little more normal because you can't do as much cross-match stuff with Cornette as Wemby, but that's when everything will be a little easier. Like you'll see more of SGA, J-Dub, and Chet getting inside. The Chet pick and pop becomes even more dangerous when it's Cornette versus Wemby. All right, is that enough on that side? Did any of that make sense? We now go to the other side. This amazing OKC defense of just turnovers and arms and block shots and physicality, and me still being like, how do you guys not commit more fouls than you do? And I don't even say that in like a hater way. I'm just like, damn, that's like crazy. I mean, the Pistons are the probably second most physical defense in the league. They led the league in fouls this year. Again, the ref talk is going to be unbelievable this series. So back to the cross-matching stuff. There's any possibility here for Wemby. I was trying to find possessions in the regular season of Chet and Ihart versus Wemby, like all in the game at the same time. And because so many of the regular season matchups happened when Cornette was starting the games over Wemby, it got weird trying to find it. I probably missed it somewhere, but look, Ihart could be on him. That opens up so many Wemby pick and pops. We saw Chet on him a little more in the game that OKC won. And Chet had some good contests on him. He actually blocked him in a 1v1. There was a face-up where Wemby scored on him, but it was like a late shot clock, grinded out type of possession. And then, of course, you're going to see Caruso. You're going to see J-Dub. You're going to see some Dort. You're going to see just any possibility of guys switching onto Wemby, swarming Wemby. And the image that I still have in my head was actually the in-season tournament game where it's just throw a super high entry pass to Wemby from, let's say, Fox, and it's just Caruso and whoever just reaching and just trying to crowd him as much as possible. And, I mean, this is the growth that Wemby has had over the years of dealing with this physicality and smaller guys on him. Like, this is the ultimate test of how much better he's gotten at all that stuff. Because nobody in the league is better at just having a bunch of little dudes annoy the hell out of you than OKC is. I imagine you're going to see, like, post fades over J-Dub or Caruso. I mean, Kenny Hustle was guarding him in some of the regular season matchups. Kaysen is going to be involved in some of this as well. And so let's just see if there's one defender or one style of double teaming, whether it's double teaming right when he gets the ball, double teaming on the dribble, whatever, that bothers Wemby enough for the Thunder to hold down the Spurs offense. Now, when Wemby had smaller guys on him in the regular season, sometimes the Spurs would also use him as a screen setter, and he would slip some screens just to make OKC have a moment of like, are we switching? Like, what are we doing? And then he's open in the middle of the floor, or not even open, but just has a little bit of airspace. And from OKC's perspective, the plan there would hopefully be they have Chet or Ihart waiting for him if they're not on Wemby and they feel comfortable helping off of whoever they're going to help off of, right? I mean, Champagnie can shoot, Vassell can shoot, but you got to pick somebody, right? And then after that, we will see once again if the physical advantages that Fox, Castle, and Harper showed throughout various parts of those regular season matchups, like each one of them had at least a moment or two or three maybe of either I'm too big for you. Like Castle has had some possessions where like he'll get J-Dub on his back on a screen because OKC is so switchable. Like, you know, J-Dub could start a possession guarding Castle and then he ends up on Wemby at the end. You know what I mean? Although if that puts a big guy on Castle, then, you know, it's a whole chess match this series. But yeah, you see some of that from Castle. You've seen like Dylan Harper kind of move Case and Wallace out of the way on just straight line drives. Like one of those games, he only had 2 points, but he had 10 assists. And a lot of them was just Case and Wallace, get out of my way. Some plays where Fox is flying around a screen. He's a little too fast for Dort or Caruso or whoever. I mean, there were stretches of those regular season games where I was like, man, there's not many guards who make OKC's defenders look how this looks right now. But OKC did shut them down finally in the one game they won. And I mean, they had like 11 block shots in that game. And I don't even think it's worth going into the specifics. Like, we know what OKC can do defensively. They can pressure the hell out of you. They can send so many bodies. They can just overwhelm you with where is the help. And like the windows of help are just so small. Like we just saw Austin Reeves put up turnovers and look small and still have a couple of big scoring games, don't get me wrong, but it's just really tough against these guys. Now, with all that said, a lot of this just comes down to how much leeway does Chet have to just kind of be on an island defensively? If he's on Wemby, the answer is none. And even then, Champagnie can shoot, Vassell can shoot. He was on Harrison Barnes, some in the regular season matchups. If Carter Bryant's out there, he's going to immediately try to help off of him. This series is going to be such a good time, man. Could see Chet helping off of Keldon as well. And I think Keldon made like 5 of 9 threes in one of those matchups in the regular season. I would love to see Keldon just battling Chet on the boards. You're not going to guard me? All right, man, here I come. It should be a great time. I imagine we are going to see OKC daring Harper and Castle to make jumpers, and I think they will do a better job of it than the Wolves did in that last game. Like, they put Gobert on Castle, and then they also just gave Castle all the time in the world to shoot threes. Like, you could still try to pressure him a little bit more than that. And I don't even know if OKC is going to go to the big guys on Castle thing. Like, they might just not do it. But, I mean, look, the thing with OKC, I've said this for I don't know how many years now. They give up the most corner threes in the league. That's the trade-off to the aggressive help defense that they play. Like, they dare those skip passes. But let's be honest, for everything I'm saying, some of this is just going to come down to, does Castle body up SGA, who's guarding him? Does Fox get by Lou Dort enough times? Does Harper push Case it out of the way? Does he body up AJ Mitchell on a drive? Whatever. I feel like I haven't talked about Case and Wallace enough. Anyway, this should be a great time. It's time for a prediction. Look, I've been getting a little reckless these playoffs. Picked the Wolves to beat the Spurs after game 1. That was bad. I picked the Cavs over the Raptors to begin the series, but I picked the Raptors for that game 7. That didn't work out for me. I'm going to keep being reckless. Give me the Spurs. Why? Because Wemby's really good. The way the Spurs lose this is that everybody else is just too overwhelmed by all the scrambling and switching and reaching and all that the Thunder do. And SGA is amazing. Anyway, Spurs in, I don't know, 6 or 7.